If there's something I love, it's backgrounds. And if there's something I hate, it's also background. And only 4% of artworks include some sort of background. If there's something I learned during my anatomy study, if I just do it, it's eventually gonna be done. Hi there, I'm Cora, and I'm on a journey to restudy everything. I've drawn my fair share of backgrounds, but not enough. So I've decided to dive headfirst into the world of backgrounds. By the way, I'm not a professional, please treat my videos as notes or tips, and not as a full guide. I'm just someone trying to learn, not someone trying to teach. So what do I know so far? I've studied perspective, 3D forms, and shadows. So I can just draw a building in perspective and give it a few shadows, and I can then draw many of them to make a city. But isn't that just too much effort? I've done that before, but it wasn't that detailed though. Wait, what about landscapes then? I can draw buildings with a bunch of simple shapes, but that's due to how structured they are. What about grass, trees, and clouds? And so I did some research. I tried finding some references and guides on how to draw nature stuff, and here are some things that I picked up. First of all, brushes. Brushes for leaves, grass, clouds, or just almost anything. I watched a few videos on how to make brushes on Procreate. Firstly, I started by drawing some grass, just by doing some simple strokes, and turned it into a PNG. And I then turned that PNG into a brush. And well, would you look at that? That was easy enough. My thought process was basically more variety equals more natural looking. In total, I've got more than 40 different brushes. I kinda doubt I'll be using 20 of these. And with my 15 different grass brushes, I decided to try and paint a field of grass. And you know what? It's not that bad, but it could be better. I don't know, it just kinda looked flat and uninteresting. I also made a bunch of leaf brushes. Some are probably unnecessary. I do like these attempts more than my grass field attempt. I also added a bunch of flowers that I spent a lot of time and effort on. I then also made sky brushes, which actually turned out pretty nice. I'm kinda proud of this cloud. And lastly, I practiced drawing a rock. It kinda looks like a porous rock formation thingy, which wasn't actually intentional. I did it again, and I was somewhat more satisfied with my second attempt. With all of my new brushes and this screenshot I got from Woa, which I thought looked pretty cool, I decided to draw it. Okay, listen, I don't hate it, I just dislike it a lot. The grass is alright, but everything just looks so blurry and undefined, as if I can barely make out of what I'm looking at. I should probably have practiced a lot more than just simply testing out the brushes. I went back to the study board and I tried gathering multiple tutorials for grass, rocks, and trees. Firstly, grass. A general tip: give your grass different hues, values, and saturation to make their shape stand out. And another thing, perspective. If we draw a bunch of circles and add perspective to it, the circles will look more cluttered and smaller the further away they are. If we replace the circles with grass, the grass will also look more cluttered the further away it is. During my practice, I painted the area where the grass was going to be, and I added the grass according to the colors. The end result isn't the most impressive, but I did pick up on a few things. I decided to practice a bit more, and this time, I wanted to play into the perspective. And you know what? Despite only putting a decent amount of effort into this, it honestly didn't turn out that bad. My only gripe with this piece is that the front here looks a bit unfinished or out of place. Here's another tip: this grass isn't actually that detailed. If you zoom in, you'll realize that some of this grass is just a bunch of acrylic brush strokes. I could have just used my grass brush, but I wanted to try something specific. Stephen Travers, an artist known for their detailed drawings, made a full video explaining this, but here's a short explanation. Do you see these little blobs? It kinda reminds me of one of those stone mosaic thingies. However, this is just a very zoomed in screenshot, cause this is actually a bunch of houses. But how? When we draw something like a large city or a big landscape, it would take forever to get the teeny tiny little details, so what artists do instead is draw the illusion of detail. Due to the houses in the front, our brain is already fed with the information that these are houses, and the further away it is, the city slowly becomes less detailed, but we can still tell that it's a city with a bunch of houses, despite looking like a bunch of blobs that vaguely resembles the shape of a roof, because we were already fed the information beforehand, giving us the illusion of a very detailed city. I tried to somewhat achieve this effect with the grass, The grass at the front here was drawn manually, with some slight shadows. When I say manually, I mean without using a specialized brush like a grass brush. The middle I just used my grass brushes, and at the end I used my acrylic brushes. Basically, I just adjust the level of detail based on how far away it is. And now for the rocks. If you look at my old rocks, they kinda look messy and unclear, and not that rocky. Now take a look at this rock. Here's the thing about rocks. Rocks are very geometrical. There was a huge difference between my first view and my latest rocks. The shape and the form is so much more clear than the others. The old rocks looks messy and kinda unreadable, at least compared to the new rock. I tried making the light and shadows more clear to really highlight the shape of the latest rock, which turned out pretty well honestly. I'm kinda proud of myself for this one. For each of these, I also used different kinds of texture brushes. For the old one, I used this brush that drew little dark spots because I was looking at this guide. But now that I'm actually zooming into this guide while I'm making this video, this isn't even like a brush with a specific pattern, they just kinda painted in these dark little spots manually. Yeah, that's another thing that I realized. I was being way too lazy and way too dependent on special made brushes. Like you see my trees, they're okay from far away, but when the trees are up close like this, cause this looks like a hot mess. For the bushes, not a lot actually changed, I just tried giving them a more painterly look. And the clouds kinda stayed the same. I just switched to another type of brush. I'm actually a bit proud of how this one turned out. As for the tree bark, I kinda ran into the same problem, I just wanted to rush through it. So I'm not fully satisfied with this yet. To finish it off, I decided to draw another background. But this time, I didn't want to do a large and complicated landscape, cause I wanted to focus on the individual things. And I gotta say, I think I'm satisfied. Of course, there's areas where I could improve. So far, I've noted down a few things. Your fundamentals, your brushes, being able to clearly convey form, and the illusion of detail. My background journey has only started, and this is definitely a step forward. I still have a lot to learn, and I still have about 6 or 7 months until I do my yearly drawing to see how much I've improved. Editor Corey here, thank you everyone so much for 5k subscribers. I'm sorry I haven't uploaded in a while, I just kinda needed a break. But yeah, I'll likely also stream some art stuff here on YouTube. Alright, see y'all, bye bye.